Okay, thank you very much. So welcome everybody, thanks that you're here. I just realized that this is the only English-speaking session in this time slot, so probably you're just here because you are not so good in understanding German. That's good to know. Okay. So, I know there are some others. So, so whatever. I'm very glad that you're here, and I'm going to talk today about a training program that we established in RBI. But before I dig a bit deeper, I want to tell you a story, obviously, because that's just how it needs to start. During the last couple of years, I've been a bit into road cycling, like road bikes. And the reason, or one of the triggers for this, was that I watched the Netflix series about the Tour de France. Does anybody know it? Has anybody seen it? Yes? So if you haven't seen it, please just check it out. It's really, really amazing. Yeah? These guys, these bike riders are completely crazy. Yeah? And their capabilities almost feel like superhuman. It's crazy. I mean, they ride for thousands of kilometers, thousands of meters of altitude. It's completely crazy. Yeah? But there are a lot of other things that are quite interesting about this series. So, for instance, I learned for the first time that road cycling is a team sport, and it's not just about the capabilities of the individual rider. So it's really, really super nice, and I really recommend to check it out. But after seeing this, I just did a bit more research, and that's something I found out something that I just want to show you. This is statistics about the average speed of the winner in the Tour de France. So it starts early 20th century, so around 1910 or so. The average speed of the winner was 27 kilometers per hour. So if anybody of you has done some attempts at road cycling, you probably know that this in itself is already pretty impressive. So achieving this kind of speed for a longer period of time is not easy, and they have been doing this like 115 years ago for thousands of kilometers, already in 1910. But look at this, I mean, this is even more crazy. The average speed of the winner in 2023 was 41 kilometers per hour. So, and development that's really, really impressive. So I know, there were lots of stories about drug abuse and doping in the 80s and 90s mainly, and I'm sure there was a lot of illegal substance abuse, but this is not enough. Yeah? So I have another explanation for you to make. Look at this beauty. This is the bike that Eddy Merckx used to win the Tour de France in 1975. So beautiful steel frame. But now I'll show you something else. This is the bike from Tadej Pogačar, the winner of this year's Tour de France. So you see this is like full carbon frame, super nice brakes, electronic gear shifting, all very much optimized for, of course, for speed. So, I mean, this probably is the reason why things have been developing so much with the average speed. But yeah. Unfortunately, that's just not true. I did a bit more research, and I just figured out that there are like 3 important things that just explain this kind of improvement in the average speed. So obviously, gear has an important influence. Yeah, there's no doubt about it. So the change in the bicycles did make a big contribution to this. But this was not the most important thing. Yeah? Another very important factor is nutrition, because the athletes nowadays have much better products they can eat during the race to just refill their carbohydrate depots. So that's just really another level. It just didn't exist in the early 20th century. But the most important thing, obviously, and that's like a truth that we all have to accept, is training. Nowadays, training is much, much better than it was in times before. So we have a much better understanding how our body works. Training plans are way more customized to the individual drivers or riders. Long-term training strategies, high-altitude training, continuous collection of metrics. Yeah? So it's very difficult to precisely quantify the impact of all of these different factors, but it's pretty clear that training is the most important factor. The thing that has helped the most to improve the average performance of the riders. Good, yeah, so it's the hard truth. Yeah? So the most important factor for performance is not the tools, it's not the gear, it's the skills and the capabilities that we have. It would be so nice if we just invest in some kind of new piece of gear and then suddenly our performance would explode, but it's just not happening. I know everybody who's doing sports has this kind of gear thing going on. It's also psychologically understandable. So I also had it when I started climbing. I watched all of these YouTube videos of world championships and they had these fancy climbing shoes and I thought, oh, okay, just buy these good shoes and then my performance would be much better, but just didn't work out that way. Yeah. So it's all about skills. Skills are the most important thing, and skills only come with training. That's completely clear. Yeah? So now let's circle back, and this is why I told you this story. Yeah? When we had this kind of transformation process in our bank, Raiffeisenbank International, we also figured out that there was like a gap in skills. Yeah? So we had like traditionally pretty good IT. This is not a question. Yeah? But generally, the level of skills that we had with regards to IT performance was probably more like this. Yeah? So, like, yeah, solid, but not really ready to race. Yeah, completely clear. So something like this would describe our performance, I would say, pretty well, our level of capabilities. Mid-2000s enterprise IT. This does not sound super exciting. Yeah? So, but don't get me wrong. I mean, we were doing a lot of things right. Yeah? Just look at this. Yeah? This is a detail of Eddie Merck's bicycle. So this is like a marvel of engineering. It's super nicely done, but it's just not appropriate for the challenges that we have. Yeah? And it's just not good enough for our current competitive environment. So something needed to change. Yeah? So we were missing like the bigger picture of generally how software is developed nowadays in successful software companies. And this is the time when the program that I want to talk to you about today was born. So this program, we called it Engineering for Agility, as the title of the talk says. And if you're an attentive observer, you probably will realize that my visualization now changed. Yeah? But check it out, it still has something to do with what I want to tell you. Okay, so when starting the program, we had like 3 major goals for the program. First one, we wanted to cover a lot of modern software engineering methods and practices, and we wanted to just like bring that into the organization, not only to engineers, but also to Scrum Masters, to product owners, so it was clear that we just couldn't go too deep. Yeah? We wanted to cover a lot of different things, so if you go broad, we just can't go too deep. That's clear. Yeah? So the whole program should act like as an inspiration, a starting point. You should be, you should hear a lot of different things, and if you think this is interesting for my team, then it should be something where you can go deeper, like a starting point. Yeah? And so the whole program was designed on a level that we reach a lot of different people. You don't need to be a senior engineer to participate. The second thing is, and it was already mentioned in a couple of talks today, yeah? So if you want to be successful also in delivering products, mainly software products, that's what I'm talking about, you just need to have the buy-in from all of the stakeholders. Just not enough if the engineers know what to do, you also need to have support from the whole organization. Yeah? So what we also wanted to achieve is this kind of empathy between all of the stakeholders involved in the product delivery process. And the third thing was, as we are like an international bank, we have a lot of subsidiaries and there is a lot of communication. It used to be mainly on management level. Yeah, so team meet, management guys meet, but we also wanted to establish this more on an engineering level. Yeah? If you bring people together, that's always like a good thing. And if there is an opportunity to improve this kind of collaboration also across the different countries of the organization, that's something that you just like should support. Yeah? So what we also wanted to achieve is to have this kind of platform where engineers can connect with their peers. Good, so having set out the goals, we started setting up the program. And I tell you, this is not really an easy job. Yeah? So this is a complex thing. So just to give you an idea what we needed to take care of. So obviously, the first thing that you need to figure out is what is the structure and the content of the program. Then you need to come up with a process of nomination. You also need to define who will go in, what are the criteria. Yeah? Then you need to find the trainers. You need to come up with planning. You need to do contracting. You need to negotiate prices. All of this is not easy. I mean, we are a bank. I mean, contracting external people is like a nightmare. It's a lot of bureaucracy that's involved, so you can imagine that's not easy. If these things are all set up, then you need to invite the participants, you need to book rooms, you need to have people on site if participants are joining. There are a lot of questions. Where do I find this? Where do I find that? If trainings are online, you need to do proper scheduling, and sometimes it's a good idea to also bring people together in a bit like a non-working environment, so you should also need to plan and schedule some social activities. Lot of stuff, yeah? So at the end, the work is really, really huge. It's really a lot of work. But the good thing is that we in RBI, we do have like a team that manages larger training programs inside of IT. Typically, trainings are managed by HR, and it's also similar in our bank, but we do have like a dedicated team that is sitting from an organizational perspective inside of IT, which makes it really easy to communicate. They also have a very good understanding of our needs as an IT organization, so they tremendously help, yeah? And it's really, really good if you have an experienced team that can help you with doing the setup of this. So. That's like the team that manages our internal IT academy. It's called GoIT. Yeah, that's what it is. It was founded years ago, and initially it was mainly doing trainings for engineering managers. Yeah? But over time it just expanded, and now it offers trainings for like engineering stuff, like we do cloud testing and test automation. But it also provides training curricula for business analysts, product owners, and similar stuff. Yeah. But generally, you can imagine that if you have the help of such an experienced team, then things are much easier. And so together we started designing this program. Good, so first things first. So we had to come up with program structure and an idea about the participants. So it was clear that we just, if you design a training program, it should not be too big, but you also need to cover like a range of people, otherwise it's just too, it's just like an elite. That's not what we wanted to have. Of course, we wanted to go broad also with the number of people that we can reach. So we decided to have around 50 to 20 participants. Yeah? And with regards to the structure, we decided that we will go for 5 modules, and each module has like 2 to 3 days of content. Good. The whole program is spread out over 5 months, and the idea is that we just like have these 2 to 3 day blocks once per month, so we don't interrupt the daily product business from the teams too much. I mean, it's like 15 days you have this on block. That's really hard to organize. Yeah? So we just decided to split this up 1 module per month. What we also did is we said, okay, I mean, considering the fact that we want to bring people together, it's like a good idea to have modules that are on site, so everybody's like in a single place. And but the cost obviously is always a perspective. I mean, we're talking about participants from all of our, as we call them, network units, subsidiaries, so they need to fly in. There are costs for hotels. That's just something that you need to consider. We can't neglect it. So we decided to go for a compromise and are doing this in this hybrid way. We have 3 modules on site and 2 are executed online. So this is a good compromise that also allows us to do the hands-on workshop that are part of the program. I will come to this a bit later, on site, because there are some things that work much better if you bring people together and they're all in a room. Good. So that's like the basic structure. So 5 modules spread out over 5 months, 15 to 20 people per wave, as we call it. Good. So now a bit of the nomination process. Yeah? So how do people can apply to this? So generally what we do is we have some kind of self-nomination process, so people can nominate themselves if they're interested. We advertise the programs and tell people, look, I mean, if this is something that fits for you, then just apply. Usually this is combined with some kind of self-nomination application, motivation letter, you could say. Yeah? Nothing fancy, just like a few sentences explain why exactly you would be the one that should be part of this program. And at the end, it also requires management approval. Now, there's money involved, but our experience is typically this is not a problem. So if people want to join, they can. But there is another thing, because usually we do have more applications than places for participants. So we need to have some kind of selection process. And I also want to shortly talk about this. So based on our experience, we try to have like maximum 2 to 3 people per country. As I said, like we have subsidiaries in 13 countries in Central and Eastern Europe. So people apply, and usually or sometimes they're like big groups. But at the end, if you have 15 people and there are like 5 people from one country inside of the participant group, the result is that they just stick together. Yeah? This is just not what we want to achieve. We want to have like good collaboration and exchange between the people, so they should just mingle, and that's why we limit the number of people from one specific country to 2 to 3 persons, usually. What we also want to have is a good mix of roles. So we don't want to have only software engineers or only testers inside. As I said, one of the goals is also to create this kind of empathy between the roles. So it's important that we have good mix of roles. Diversity of roles also gives us a lot of different views on problems during the discussion that naturally come up in the program. And so that's also quite important. The third thing that we just want to have, and we always consider when we select participants, is that we need to have like at least 4 to 5 people who have a software engineering background, in the sense that they can write code and they are familiar with the tools and IDEs and GitHub and these kind of things. Yeah? We have a couple of sessions where we just like really write code, yeah? And if you don't have people who are familiar with this kind of tool chain, then it's just like so complicated. Yeah? You just need to have people that can be the center of small teams, groups, mobs that sit together and then do the tasks together. And if you don't have people who know the tool chain, then it just introduces so much friction, and all the benefits of working together just like go away. That's not what we want to have. And last but not least, the goal is that people come in, that they're inspired, that they take stuff that they learn back to their teams, so they just need to be enthusiastic and willing to learn. If they just like think that we have a program, we just sit and then people just feed stuff into you, that's not how the design of the program is. So we just need to make sure that we find the right people who are also really enthusiastic to learn and willing to share their knowledge later on. But this is obviously also not something that's super easy. Yeah? So some colleagues who are responsible for other programs are now doing some kind of interviews before the program starts, just to make sure that expectations are really clarified. We have not done that yet, but we are considering it. That's really important to find the right people. Good. So having said that, now let's get a bit into the content. We have the structure, we have the participants. Obviously now we need to talk about the content, and this is the most important part, I will go in a bit more detail. Yeah? So I already mentioned it, the goal of the program is to be more broad than deep. Yeah? So we cover a lot of different things, but it's impossible to cover everything. So that's the disclaimer. So I am responsible for the program. I took the liberty to decide what goes in and what's not in. There are always discussions. There are many, many different things that would also be like reasonable to be part of the program, but yeah, you just can't do everything. So what I show to you now is just based on my opinion and my experience, basically. Good. So let's kick off with module 1. So this is the first module. Again, as I said, 3 days, and the first module is executed in Vienna. Structure is the following. People come in. We start with like a welcome round, welcome and kickoff. That's the point in time where people just get to know each other, where everybody introduces himself. And we also use this time to basically clarify again the expectations that we have from participants, and also get feedback about their expectations, obviously. The second part of the first day is then covered by a deeper introduction into basic concepts of DevOps and also ideas that are coming from Lean. So we just want to clarify terminology and make sure people have a good understanding of the basic concepts. Why are we doing this? Why are we moving to more modern ways of delivering our software? The second day and parts of the third day are covered by an introduction into our engineering platform. So we at RBI have an engineering platform that's built around our GitHub Enterprise setup. It includes a lot of other tools, and it's clear if you work as an engineer in some way or the other, then you should have a good understanding about the tools. And so we go a bit deeper here. People get a good understanding what kind of things our platform supports and how they can use it. Good, and last but not least, we also have an introduction into API design as part of the third day. So you see it's like, it's a bit of a mixture of fundamentals, but also pretty hands-on stuff, plus also some architecture topics. So as I said, like we cover a lot of things. Second day. Second module. So second module is, I forgot something, so I'll just go back. So as the first module is online, we also typically schedule some kind of group activity in the evening, so people can come together and also have some like off-work conversation, just to get to know each other a bit better. Good. Second module. So second module is done online, and what we cover here is like. We bring in people from our security department, so people understand also what are the requirements from a security perspective with regards to a software delivery lifecycle, what kind of tools are available. We partly cover this already with the engineering platform, but now it's like from a bit of a different angle. And we also have an introduction into the kind of practices of threat modeling, something that we as a bank like just need to do. It's something that's required by the regulator, so everybody should be aware of these kind of patterns that can be applied to your software delivery process. On the second day, we have a full day of test-driven development workshop. Yeah? It's done online. So to make the experience better, what we usually do is we provide pre-configured EC2 instances for our participants that include all of the tools. Yeah? So at the beginning, we did it differently, but it's really, really hard if you have people that are technically from 14 different companies, yeah? Bring their own laptops that are set up based on their own rules, so you just have problems with firewall, repo access. So our solution to this was that we just provide pre-configured EC2 instances that include all of the necessary tools, like IDEs, the code repos, everything. Yeah? And we make sure that people have access to them. That's something that we can easily test beforehand. And so then generally the test-driven development workshop is running smoothly. Yeah? So we do this in smaller groups, as already said. Here there's like some real coding involved. And we create smaller sub-teams based around the people who have like a strong engineering background. They can then be like at the center of the small mob team and just make sure that everything's smoothly. If we have Scrum Masters who have never written like a line of code, which is existing in our company, then they just look over the shoulder. Yeah? In the online, it's like not really over the shoulder, but they are like then working together in a smaller team. That actually works really, really well. Yeah? But it is also based on the fact that we have a very experienced trainer here. So it's Emily Batch. She's delivering this kind of training, so just to have a bit of a name dropping. And she's really doing a great job in introducing people to the concepts of TDD. Good. I mean, TDD, you know, it's some people always say like, yeah, sure, we know it and so, but if you dig a bit deeper, then you figure out that even senior engineers in many cases don't really know what exactly it means. So I'm a big fan of it, so I really love that we do this. Yeah? On the third day, we have like a small intro into container technology in Docker, also something that's pretty basic, but still basically all of the applications that we deliver into production in our bank are containerized. So yeah, that's just basic knowledge, and you should have a good idea what this is all about. Good, so that was the second module. Third module, that's again on-site in Vienna. And As I said, this is like a great opportunity to do stuff that's more hands-on, where we need to have all of the people in a room. So we decided to actually put these kind of trainings into this module. So first we do a full-day workshop about domain-driven design. Then we have a full-day workshop that is called Agile Testing Essentials. Basically, it just explains in like a hands-on way how the role of quality assurance is in like a Agile setup. So this kind of more holistic view on quality. And on the third day, we have a hands-on exercise about value stream mapping. So people get introduced in the value stream mapping. And in the afternoon, we have a session about the RBI engineering values and principles. This is more like we do have a set of values and principles, so we just discuss this like an open discussion typically. What we also try to do in this module is we try to have like a fireside chat with somebody from senior management. So we bring in people from senior management, they sit together with the participants, and it's just like a great opportunity to just like ask all of the questions that you have in your mind in a very like intimate format, like 15 people. So domain-driven design and value stream mapping are probably, or most of the time, are really not considered as core engineering practices, yeah, but I'm really a big fan of all of these collaborative methods, and I think it's like a great introduction also into the ideas of collaborative modeling, and yeah, that's why we included them. Yeah, it's really something that I think is pretty important. Yes, so module 4. Now we're talking more about architecture, modern architecture patterns of software architecture and deployment. So we have on the first day, and again, this is online, first day is about microservice architecture. The second part of the day is generally about ideas, what this means for our testing. So we have distributed systems. This is providing, of course, different challenges than like monoliths, also with respect to testing. So that's something that just needs to be discussed. On the second day, we bring in people from AWS typically. So most of our infrastructure is running on AWS. So we have AWS solution architects here who give participants also like a good idea about the general benefits of using public cloud providers. And on the third day, we spend most of the time first on introducing our RBI internal cloud-based runtime platforms. So we have 2 major runtime platforms. So that's something where our participants also should know that this is available to them or to the other product teams. And in the afternoon, we do have like some kind of real-world product stories. So people that deploy their products into our platforms just like explain how that works and about the challenges. So again, as you can imagine, this is not like super deep, but it just like gives you a very basic understanding about these kind of things. Good, and this brings me to the last workshop module. And again, this is on-site. Here we have a full day of clean coding, clean and secure coding. So again, this is like hands-on. People work together in small teams and write some code and get an idea about the very basic principles of clean coding and secure coding. After that, we have some kind of graduation ceremony because it's the last module, so people almost are finished with it. And on the second, and they're most likely, and most of the times, also some kind of hiring activity. I guess you know what that means. And then on the last day, we do like, because it just needs to be there, yeah, we have a longer session around the AI support that both we from a bank give to our engineers, but typically it's also a more broad discussion about what the large language models and generative AI can bring to us as engineers. Yeah? So we at RBI have our own ChatGPT instance that's available for use for everybody, every employee, and we also offer GitHub Copilot to our engineers. Yeah? So you just need to understand what kind of benefits you can have, and all of this is covered in this part. Good. So a lot of stuff. Yeah. So this is just like an overview about the whole program. Yeah. So you see, it's like pretty comprehensive. 5 modules spread over 5 months. So as I said, we've executed this program now 5 times, and each time there were like around 15 participants. So we now have like around 75 participants who have been part of this program. And as you can imagine, we collected a lot of feedback and already gathered a lot of experiences, and this is also something that I'd like to share with you. Yeah? Because actually, we learned quite a lot. First thing, and I already briefly mentioned it, related to the people. Yeah? So having the right people is really essential. The problem is that it's very hard to figure out from the start if the people who are applying are really the right people. The other thing that you just can't predict is if the group as a group clicks. Yeah, so we had completely different experiences. Sometimes there's like a super nice dynamics in the group. People just get along really well. Yeah? In other cases, it just like really doesn't work out so well. But if the group clicks, then it's really a super nice experience. They help each other, and then you create these kind of longer lasting connections and relationships between people that will still stay active even if the program is done. Part of this is also that we really need to clearly set the expectations. Yeah? I already mentioned it. We've now dedicated at the very beginning of the program a small slot where we just have like this joint session where we from our side who are providing the training are showing what our expectations are, but also we collect the expectations from the people. Yeah? This is something where we had a lot of discussions. Yeah, I already mentioned it. So in the beginning, we said, okay, we have this kind of module spread out over 5 months because we don't want to interrupt the product work too much. This is like a good idea, but it also has its drawbacks. So the drawbacks are that as soon as the module is over, people just go back into their organizations, and then it's just like, everything's forgotten. So that is just not a good way. So we thought about how can we connect these kind of modules in a meaningful way so people are not completely detached from the program. And it's like you are there for 3 days, then 3 weeks nothing, and then again there are 3 days, and then 3 weeks nothing. It's just like very hard. We just wanted to find a way how we can connect these modules so there is like a whole. The program is considered and experienced like more as a whole program, not just like a set of 3-day modules. So this is what we did then. So at the end of every module, we've introduced like half an hour. It has the fancy name of epilogue. Yeah? So, and in this half an hour, we mainly discuss like a small task that needs to be done until the next module. It's something that we call transfer task. Yeah? So it's not like homework, that's like not a good word. It's a transfer task that just should act as something that just helps you to deepen your understanding with some practical exercise. So we usually select some task that's obviously related to the topics that we covered in the module that has just passed. And then during this kind of 3 weeks, we schedule 3 to 4 3-hour time blockers that are sent out by the organizers. Yeah? They just hit like 3 time blockers into the calendars of the teams, of the people, of the participants, and then small teams should form, and they then execute this kind of transfer task that we defined during the time between the modules. Yeah? So we try to keep this self-organized. These tasks are not big, so typically it's like 2 to 3 hours. Yeah? So it should be easily done, and if you're really a pro, then you probably can do it in half an hour. But as I said, typically we have like this mixture of people with a strong engineering background, some people who are not so experienced. So it takes a while, and then at the beginning of the next module, we have this kind of another half an hour. It's called prologue. This is where we just do like a retrospective about the transfer task. Did it work? Did you have problems? What did you experience? These kind of things. Yeah? And again, at the end of the next module, it just works again. So this is something that actually worked out pretty well for us. Yeah? Not always in the same way, but now we have like a good set of transfer tasks that fit well to the topics that we have in the modules, and it really gives like this kind of feeling of connection between the individual modules. So I think this is like definitely something that improved the overall experience of the training program. Okay, so I already shortly mentioned it. Yeah? So it's very, very difficult to find the appropriate level of details for everybody. if you want to have like a diverse group of participants, then of course there will be some who are super experienced in one topic, others who have no idea. So it just is impossible to find something that's appropriate for everybody. But to be honest, my personal experience is that even if people come in who say, yeah, I'm a senior engineer, yeah, and then, for instance, you discuss with them about test-driven development, yeah, then suddenly you figure out, they surely have heard about it, but probably it's not part of the daily work, and so a small refresher probably is really a good idea. Yeah? So at the end, I think we have figured out now a group of topics where basically everybody benefits in some way or the other. Yeah? But it is clear there will also always be like things where people then say, okay, but there was absolutely nothing new for me. Yeah? But really, honestly, this is like a really rare experience. Yeah, this is like too obvious. Yeah, so I mean, if it's about learning, then the most effective thing is if people can do like stuff on their own. But it's hard. Yeah, so we need to cover a lot of things, and in many cases, this also involves some kind of level of theory. Let's put it like this. Yeah, so as always, there is the need for some flow of information, but eventually, the better thing is if people can just like do stuff on their own practically. Yeah. So we also try to have like a good mixture of this, and that's why we really focusing on having this kind of hands-on workshop when people are together and can work together in groups. So this is something that yeah, it is clear, but you know, still every time you'll learn it again, kind of, because organizing this kind of hands-on stuff usually is way more work. I mean, it's easier if you just bring in a trainer and he just like, explain for 3 hours what this is all about, doing something that provides value from a learning perspective, but also involves hands-on work is just like way more difficult to organize and to prepare. Good. Another thing, so I was talking a lot about expectations that also we have from a company perspective to the participants of our training program. So people come in, they spend a lot of time. At the end, you know, what we want to achieve is some kind of change in the ways of working. Yeah? So that's the expectation that we have. If people just come in and sit there for 15 days and then afterwards everything is exactly like it was before, then we have achieved zero outcome. It's not like that things need to be done completely different or everything that we talked about needs to be applied. That's not the goal. Yeah? So as I said, it should be some kind of inspiration, but at least like a small thing should change somehow. Yeah? An experiment should be done. Something new should be tried out. Yeah? So what we do now is we just try to follow up after the program. So usually, like when the program is done, we already schedule a meeting 6 months later where we just discuss, hey, was there something that you could try out? Did you implement something? Is there some support that you need? Is there something that we can do? Also, do you need some additional trainings? Do you want to go deeper on something? Yeah? So these kind of things. So this is really important. If you just let go after the training is over, then just like things will trickle out. Yeah? That's our experience. Yeah, another thing. So, of course, we also want to get feedback for the individual session, but also for the program. And again, you just need to get it immediately. Yeah, if people are out, yeah, if they go home, then it's super hard to get any response from them anymore. Yeah? So if you really want to have meaningful feedback, you just need to collect it immediately after the program. That's the only way. Otherwise, you just like 5 people out of 20 will respond. Yeah? So very, very difficult and just need to push hard. Good. I think I already mentioned it, but I just want to mention it again because it's really true. And for everybody who wants to do something like this, you just need to be aware of that this is really a lot of work. I mean, if things are running and you have your set of trainers, then usually like things are easier. Yeah? So you don't need to rework the contents all of the time, that's clear. Yeah? But still, this is like evolving, things are changing, it just means a lot of continuous work. It's not done, it's like really a product at the end, yeah, that needs continuous maintenance. Good, yeah, so we also need to talk about if it basically achieves the goals that we have. Yeah? And so I just want to remind you. So the first goal that we had was like, okay, we need to bring a lot of new methods and practices into the organization. Does it work? Are we able to inspire people? I think we can check this off. Yeah? So people try out new stuff, people get exposed to a lot of ideas, so I think from that perspective, the program really kind of works well. The second thing is, and that also works kind of well, we created this platform, people stay connected, they get to know each other. I also know it from myself. I did a similar program years ago, and it was like, this is still the people from this program that's, you spend a lot of time together basically, yeah? And you go out in the evening, so you just know them. And these are very valuable connections that may be really helpful all of the time that you're spending with the company. The third topic is, are we able to improve the engineering maturity of the organization with this kind of program? That's of course something that's more tricky to answer. Yeah? As I said, I mean, there are many activities that we do to make sure teams improve their ways of working. This training program is just like one of the different initiatives, so it's very hard to quantify. Learning processes typically are also you don't have this kind of very short-term benefit. Yeah? These are longer-term things. So I'm convinced, but it's not really green here because it's very hard to quantify. I just can't tell you numbers. I mean, it's impossible. Yeah. So, but generally, I think what we do is we just expose our participants to many different things. Yeah, we inspire them, and at the end, what we definitely achieve is like we broaden their solution space. They have more ideas how they can solve their solutions, and it just gives them more options. So I think from that perspective, this is really a successful thing. Yeah, this is some feedback. I don't read it out for you. You can read it, and it's really real feedback, so it's not like I didn't make it up. So generally, the feedback we get is really kind of good. So people like it and are happy with the program. Good, that's it. Yeah, 3 minutes. Oh, perfect. So thank you for listening. I hope it was useful for you. I just want to give a special shout out to Peter Kofler. Not sure if anybody knows him, and he's not here today, but he's a colleague of ours who did like the secure coding workshop for us, and he basically asked me, why don't you do a talk about this? That's what I did now, so thanks to him, and I'm happy to take any questions.
Thank you for the presentation. First, 2 questions. First one, were you lucky enough to find trainers in between your senior organization ready, available for this training, or did you have to spend some effort and time to prepare the training team? Not every senior engineer is willing or good at teaching. Yeah. So that was the first one. And the second one, this all means effort for the company, cost. Are you being asked to demonstrate a kind of return of investment, or how do you evaluate the success of the training in terms that can be understood also by the people who is putting the money in it? Or how do you measure the success that allow you to continue doing it on a future basis?
Mm-hmm. Okay, good. So 2 very important questions. First one is we do have a mixture of trainers from inside of the company and people that we just get from the external market. Yeah. So some things can be covered reasonably well by people who are from the company. I do a couple of trainings, colleagues do a couple of trainings, but there are topics where we just bring in, as I said, for instance, for the TDD workshop, we bring in people, external people who are really experienced. Yeah. So yes, does it cost money? Yes, of course it does. Is it work because we need to do contracting? Yes, all of this is true. Yeah. But I mean, we want to give like a really good training experience. I just want to bring in people from inside of the company who are not really authorities on the topic. You know, cheap isn't everything. If it's just about the money, then we don't need to do the training. Yeah, it's really also about the content. Second thing is how we show that it works. Yeah, so I mean, our company here is kind of very good, I would say, in the sense that return of investment, I don't need to put any numbers on the table. Yeah? The numbers that I put on the table typically are, do we have enough people who are applying for participation? So is it something that generates interest in the organization? Yeah? So as long as I can prove this, generally it's good enough. The second thing is that is considered kind of net promoter score. Yeah? Would you recommend this program also to your colleagues? Yeah? And as long as this is kind of good, then we are also in green. Yeah? So that's the way how it works now. So I don't need to provide any detailed numbers, say, look, I mean, this is what you get. As long as the people who are participating see benefit, then it's fine. So if money is tight for training programs, then what we usually do is like we don't offer this like 2 times per year, we just do it like once. Yeah? So we can't push like 30 to 40 people through the program, but only 20. But that's a company decision. But I think generally it's well accepted that these kind of programs provide value for the company. So I don't need to provide any like hard numbers, which I practically wouldn't be able to do. Any other questions?
Hey, very, very interesting and impressive experience report. So I'm curious to know, in these, you said every 6 weeks after a program you kind of collect, have you applied this in your everyday work?
Yes.
And in those feedback sessions, what was your impression about the network effect?
Yes. So so it's 6 months actually, not 6 weeks. So 6 weeks is just a bit too short. So after 6 months, so at the end of the program we also do this kind of epilogue. So the people just need to commit to something where they say, okay, I will try out something like this. Some people some examples that we had was like, okay, I will do like a value stream mapping exercise with my team. And what we see is that usually the stuff that people commit to, this is something they also do later on. And after 6 months, we just see, okay, they've done this and they can bring back their experiences. Yeah? So that's why I also meant you need to follow up and follow up and follow up and just like make sure that people also don't forget their commitments. But we do have some kind of commitment. It's not huge. I just want to have something that changes. Doesn't need to be much, but something that needs to change.
Thank you, Robert. Very interesting talk. I wish I could make such a training. As every speaker, for every speaker we have a small present, chocolate.
Thank you very much.
And thank you.
Thanks.